Link TV, connecting you to the world. Link TV is viewer supported. Watch more at linktv.org.
Link TV presents Mosaic World News from the Middle East. Here are today's top stories.
Dozens killed in Baghdad blasts. Greece hit by a wave of mail bombs. And Yemen tries U.S.-born cleric in absentia. Mosaic World News from the Middle East begins now.
Iraqi Minister of Health Saleh al-Hasnawi said the death toll from yesterday's bombings in various areas of Baghdad rose to 64 and the number of wounded reached 360.
Outgoing Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki accused what he called the Takfiris and cronies of the Ba'ath Party of organizing the bombings in order to obstruct the formation of the new government.
This was a perfectly executed plan. About 20 bombs exploded successively in a number of Baghdad neighborhoods. Citizens were taken into a vortex of horror as they were unable to determine what really happened from the information released by Iraqi authorities.
They were poor people living on the street. They didn't do anything to deserve this.
أصابت هذه الموجة المنسقة من التفجيرات الأجهزة الأمنية بالذهول والحيرة.
This wave of organized bombings astonished and confused security institutions. Security officials warned of more possible attacks after Our Lady of Salvation Church was stormed 2 days ago. The security measures did not work and the attacks occurred. More than 300 Iraqis were killed or injured. Even though this number is high, political observers still believe it may be too low considering the size of the explosions and the damage they caused.
فإنه سيبقى بالمقارنة مع حجم التفجيرات والدمار الذي خلفته محل تشكيك المراقبين.
The executors of the attack sent a bloody and thunderous message. Chief Commander of the Armed Forces, Nouri al-Maliki, ordered his forces to strike back strongly and firmly and capture what he referred to as the murderers and criminals from the Takfiri groups and the cronies of the Ba'ath Party. It appears this time the political situation has prevented him from accusing foreign powers, who he used to always accuse of helping to carry out attacks. Outgoing Prime Minister Maliki, who is eager to gain a second term, found this bloody Iraqi incident an opportunity for him to say that the political agenda behind the bombings was to obstruct the formation of the government. Maliki believes that he will continue to lead the government and that the formation of the new government is imminent. But at the same time, he accused his rivals of exploiting the blood of innocent people. He considers this a great sin that conflicts with the highest interests of the country.
لكن منافس المالكي في قائمة العراقية سرعان ما حملوا الرجل وحكومته.
However, Maliki's rivals in the Iraqi bloc quickly held Maliki's government responsible for the massacres committed on the Iraqi people and for failing to provide safety for them. Meanwhile, others believe that the Iraqi people are victims of the political parties. They say the purpose of these bombings was to exert pressure on the political parties to accept one united agenda, after the Iraqi government became a place crowded with internal, regional, and foreign agendas.
من جانب آخر قال تنظيم دولة العراق الإسلامية قال إنه بعد انتهاء المهلة الممنوحة.
For its part, the Islamic State of Iraq organization said that after the time limit it gave the Egyptian church ended, the leaders and followers of Christian centers, organizations, and institutions would become the targets of gunmen.
لمسلحيه حتى يعلن من سماه البيان طاغوت الفاتيكان.
They said this would last until what they called the tyrant in the Vatican disowns the Egyptian church and shows it is seriously pursuing the release of what they describe as imprisoned Muslim women and stops harming Islam.
عن الإسلام.
وأضاف التنظيم أن عملية الهجوم على الكنيسة نفذها.
The organization added that the attack on the church was carried out by 5 gunmen, and the security institutions deliberately and quickly confronted them, ignoring the life of the hostages. It said the security forces suffered immense losses in a 5-hour-long battle that included US helicopters.
Yemen, which is bracing for a new wave of terror attacks on its soil, held the first trial session of radical cleric Anwar al-Awlaki in absentia today. Yemen has launched a wide-scale manhunt for Ibrahim al-Asiri, the suspect believed to be behind the failed parcel bomb attack. Abdul Rahman al-Shumari reports from Sana'a.
Yemeni security forces have launched a nationwide manhunt for Saudi national Ibrahim al-Asiri, who is being pursued by Yemeni and Saudi authorities in connection with the failed parcel bombing attempt. Meanwhile, a Yemeni criminal court specializing in terror cases held the first trial session of Anwar al-Awlaki in absentia today. The court read a list of charges against al-Awlaki, including incitement of violence and the murder of foreigners. Al-Awlaki, a prominent al-Qaeda leader in the Arab Peninsula, is wanted dead or alive by U.S. authorities. Authorities believe he is hiding near the Shabwa Mountains east of Yemen.
This is the case of Anwar al-Awlaki. Not long ago, al-Awlaki worked as a server in U.S. bars and restaurants. He is now a mufti who issues fatwa, or religious decrees, authorizing the killing of foreigners and members of security forces. He has become a death squad leader.
Yemen, the country the world is currently viewing as a threat following the failed parcel bomb attempt, expressed dismay over a German decision to ban all cargo flights from Yemen, saying the decision will hamper its efforts on the war on terror. Meanwhile, Yemeni security forces have stepped up their measures around the nation's airports, as well as across major cities and border crossings. Yemen is still trying to identify the source of the two parcel bombs.
The decision to step up security measures is part of the country's economic, social, political, and military efforts to counter terrorism and al-Qaeda specifically. Security measures alone will not be enough to counter terrorism.
The attempted terror attack, which carries the hallmarks of al-Qaeda, is casting its shadow on the international community. Meanwhile, Sana'a fears the incident may reflect negatively on its national security and sovereignty. The parcel crisis has put Yemen face-to-face with the person accused of ordering the attack. It seems that al-Qaeda is trying to change strategies in order to achieve its goals. Abdul Rahman al-Shumari, Dubai TV, Sana'a.
في اليونان صدمة اكتشاف الطرود المفخخة كبيرة وطرود بدت وكأنها تطارد الدول الأوروبية.
A wave of parcel bombs was discovered in Greece. It appears that the bombers are going after European countries by mailing the parcels to them through their embassies in the Greek capital of Athens. Greek police seized a group of suspicious parcels, most of which were bound for European embassies. Even though the sender and their motives for sending the parcels is not yet clear, the Athens police suspects a group they refer to as anarchists. Zuhair Sakala reports.
بعضها لم يحمل اسم مرسلها والبعض الآخر حمل اسما مزيفا.
Some of these parcels do not have a sender's name. Others use fake names. Parcels found at the entrances of some European embassies in the Greek capital of Athens still need to be evaluated. Some exploded without hitting anyone when thrown into the courtyard of the embassy. The police were called to deal with others after suspicion arose about the sender. The wave of parcel bombs began yesterday. It was worth noting that some of the bombs were personally addressed to the French President, Nicolas Sarkozy. The parcels found were addressed to various embassies, including those of Switzerland, Germany, Chile, Belgium, Bulgaria, and Russia, as if they are trying to send a message to these countries. The Greek police, who announced they detonated a number of parcel bombs, said 2 people were detained near the targeted embassies. They were allegedly trying to send the parcels. No one claimed responsibility for the parcel bombs, but authorities in Athens suspect anarchist groups that have executed bomb attacks in the country before. While it is waiting for the perpetrators to be identified, the Greek government is concerned parcel bombs could reach ballot centers. This could put the government's popularity at risk in a critical local election. In this election, citizens will vote on the government's austerity program that will settle the country's tremendous debts.
In other news, a non-UN sanctioned drone attack by the U.S. has killed at least 5 people in northwestern Pakistan. Officials say an unmanned American plane has fired 2 missiles at a vehicle in the North Waziristan agency. The vehicle was destroyed completely. The U.S. has recently stepped up air raids in northwest Pakistan. Washington claims the attacks target militants, but many of the victims are civilians. Pakistan has repeatedly condemned the drone attacks. And breaking news that's coming in right now, reports of another non-UN sanctioned drone attack in which you have at least 3 other people killed because of that. So that's 2 attacks so far, one involving 2 missiles being fired, and this one another non-UN sanctioned drone attack, killing 3. Well, our correspondent in Islamabad told us more about the politics behind the unsanctioned drone attacks taking place on an almost daily basis now.
This is now a very interesting situation because last month Prime Minister Yusuf Raza Gilani for the first time also disclosed that former President General Musharraf allowed US drones only for reconnaissance, and it was later that US drones even targeted tribal areas, and Pakistan has been repeatedly saying that these US drone attacks are counterproductive, these are creating anti-Americanism, and these are making unpopular this so-called battle against terrorism. So the big question right now here is that Pakistan, of course, is publicly condemning these attacks, but there are also somehow speculations that there might be some tacit understanding between Pakistan and the United States regarding these drone attacks.
And now to Afghanistan, where at least 2 more U.S.-led foreign soldiers have been killed there. NATO says one of the troopers died in a militant attack in the north. The second soldier has lost his life in a bomb blast in southern Afghanistan. The alliance has not revealed the exact location of the incidents or the nationalities of the dead soldiers yet. 2010 has been the deadliest year for U.S.-led troops in Afghanistan. At least 616 foreign soldiers have been killed in the country so far this year. That's compared to a total of 521 soldiers losing their lives last year.
A car bomb explosion has hit an Afghan military base in the east of the country. Afghan officials say the attack occurred in Khost province's Sabari district. Local residents have told Press TV's correspondent that the blast was huge, but there's no immediate report of casualties. No group or individual has claimed responsibility for the attack.
يجتمع اليوم وزير الخارجية البريطاني ويليام هيغ مع نظيره الإسرائيلي أفيغدور ليبرمان.
British Foreign Minister William Hague met with his Israeli counterpart Avigdor Lieberman today. Hague is expected to meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu tomorrow. According to news reports, Israel has postponed the so-called strategic dialogue with Britain in protest of a British law allowing courts to pursue and try Israeli officials on war crimes charges while they are in the UK. Israeli Intelligence Minister Dan Meridor recently canceled a trip to London over the fear of being arrested.
كان قد ألغى زيارة له إلى بريطانيا خوفا من الاعتقال.
A new report released by the Israeli Information Center for Human Rights in the Palestinian Territories, B'Tselem, and the Center for the Protection of Individuals, HaMoked, cited a number of human rights violations committed by Israel last year. Cases of prisoner abuse were reported inside an interrogation center run by the Israeli Shabak security agency in the city of Bet Tikva.
Thousands of Palestinian prisoners are being held in Israeli jails. Dozens of detainees are transported to interrogation and detention centers run by the Israeli General Security Agency, known as Shabak. A new report released by the B'Tselem Human Rights Organization and the Center for the Protection of Individuals cited human rights violations inside the Shabak-run detention center in the city of Bet Tikva. Torture was one of the many methods of abuse used against detainees. Nearly 9% of the 121 Palestinian detainees who provided testimony said that they were subjected to physical abuse. The report said that conditions inside interrogation and detention rooms were appalling. The authors of the report said abuse starts the minute detainees are arrested, which usually takes place unexpectedly, late at night, and they are not allowed to gather their belongings. While in transit to interrogation centers, detainees are often shackled in painful ways. Once inside the detention center, the detainees are subjected to harsher conditions.
The health conditions inside prison cells are very deplorable and inhumane. The mattresses and blankets furnished to detainees are often moldy. The toilet inside cells is a small hole in the floor, which smells bad at all times.
Commenting on the report, Israeli authorities represented by the Ministry of Justice said the arguments raised by the report were based on allegations that lacked documentation, making it hard for them to follow up on it. The ministry added that appropriate authorities questioned prison officials after official complaints were filed in many cases. The Israeli Foreign Ministry said the issue is serious and worth investigating.
We will look into all allegations, taking into consideration that the report itself said parts of the testimony was based on hearsay that lacks objectivity. We can see that some of the claims are general, and therefore we can't check them precisely.
Authors of the report said the methods used to deal with Palestinian detainees has changed in the past few years after the Israeli High Court repealed a long list of investigative methods. However, methods including psychological and physical pressures are still widely used. Between the testimony of prisoners, which was documented in the new report, and the claims of Israeli authorities, the number of Palestinian detainees is continuing to rise. From Jerusalem, Shireen Yunus, BBC.
The anticipated Republican victory in today's U.S. midterm congressional elections is not likely to make a significant impact on U.S.-Israeli relations. This, according to the executive director of the American-Israeli Cooperative Enterprise, Mitchell Bard. The senior U.S. foreign policy analyst is currently in Israel and discussed the ramifications of the expected U.S. electoral results with IBA's Efrat Batat.
We definitely anticipate the Republicans winning big, but over the last several weeks they've had some losses in terms of some of the Senate seats they were expected to take, so it may not be quite the sweep that was first expected.
Do you believe that a Republican victory will have significant reverberations on Israeli-American relations?
No, probably it will have very little impact. The Congress is traditionally been very supportive of Israel. There's no reason to expect that to change, and there's no reason really to believe that a Republican takeover of the House, or even if they took over both houses, will dramatically change the Obama administration policy.
But do you think they can be seen perhaps as a referendum on the Obama administration at this point in time?
Well, it's certainly a referendum on domestic policy and a little bit on foreign policy, very little on Israel, but it's also a referendum just on the state of the economy and dissatisfaction with Washington.
From Israel's perspective, from our point of view, talks, the current peace talks between Israel and the Palestinians have been put on hold, awaiting the outcome of these midterm elections. Once domestic politics are behind him, do you believe that Obama will continue his intensive efforts to broker these talks?
I think there's no question that the president's very committed to peace in the Middle East and believes that he is capable of brokering some sort of an agreement, and so it will be very important for the Israelis, especially when the Prime Minister visits, to make first peace with the Obama administration.
So we should just wait and see the outcome, and we don't have too much reason to fear.
No, I don't think there's reason to fear from the congressional election. You may have reason to fear about future policies from the Obama administration.
Okay, so we'll talk more about that soon. Just one more question, though. The Republicans are known to have less pressure on Israel. Do you think that that's going to come true, that that's going to be validated?
Well, I think the Republicans certainly are going to be very supportive, and they're going to take certain steps to try to put constraints on what the Obama administration does. But overall, it's not going to have a dramatic impact on their policy.
So foreign policy ultimately is dictated by the White House.
Absolutely.
The Supreme Council for Policies of the Egyptian ruling National Democratic Party has announced a comprehensive plan aimed at helping its leaders and members secure broader participation in the process of preparing the party's political program for the upcoming parliamentary elections.
Secretary General of the Supreme Council for Policies, Jamal Mubarak, said his party's election platform addresses a number of issues, including job creation and a higher standard of living, as well as quality education and healthcare for all citizens. The newly formed coalition, called the Political Parties Bloc, has filed a complaint with Egyptian Minister of Information, Anas Al-Figi, demanding Egyptian national television and satellite channels stop airing campaign ads for the Al-Wafd opposition party due to their failure to comply with the official campaign period, which has not yet begun.
The Egyptian Political Parties Bloc will enter the race for the People's Assembly with 135 candidates.
6 parties with different political views have agreed in principle to run on the same ticket. They are the members of the newly formed Political Parties Bloc. The new bloc is working on their final preparations before kicking off their campaign in the race for the People's Assembly. The parties agreed to employ the same mechanism, with each party promoting its own political programme.
We formed a joint committee representing the 6 political parties. The committee will help monitor the election process. It will also help file complaints on behalf of our candidates with the High Electoral Commission, as well as report any violations cited during the election process. While all of us agree in principle on the issues, each candidate has his own political program to promote.
Despite
the various political programs of the parties, they share a common desire to promote social equality, each in their own way.
Social equality ranks high on our agenda. Social equality is very important to all of us, especially to the poor and the lower income class. We can't stress it hard enough. Again, social equality is high on our priority list. We also call for the empowerment of the Egyptian farmers.
135 candidates have been nominated to run on behalf of the Political Parties Bloc, which is focusing on quality more than quantity, especially in light of its limited funds. Unlike major political blocs, which have various financial resources, the newly formed bloc is comprised of small political parties with limited funding.
Yes, unity is what counts. According to the old saying, in unity there is strength. Our bloc includes 6 parties. This gives us an opportunity to rally wider support, both financially and politically. This will also enable us to counter the parties in better financial positions. Everyone knows elections require major spending.
Participation, monitoring and support. These are the 3 pillars the newly formed Political Parties Bloc is focusing its efforts on. The aim is to rally support for their candidates in the upcoming People's Assembly elections, as well as give a final push to get voters to come out and vote. Ahmad Hindi, Nile News Channel.
From November 1st, 1944 to February 14th, 2005, lived a man who ruled Lebanon both in his life and his death. Rafiq al-Hariri is our today's figure. My colleague Ugararit Dandash reports.
لم يولد وفي فمه ملعقة من ذهب، لكن الذهب أتاه على طبق من حرير في عمر الشباب.
He was not born with a golden spoon in his mouth, but gold came to him in his youth on a plate made of silk. In the fall of 1944, or more precisely on All Saints' Day, Rafiq al-Hariri was born into a farmer's family. His parents had no idea that they had given birth to a future prime minister who, over 2 decades, would rule Lebanon in life and death. The young man was not able to finish his education in the sciences due to its high cost, so he immigrated to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in 1965 and began his financial administration studies.
حيث بدأ رحلة المال والسلطة التي أوصلته في أقل من 30
In less than 30 years, he rose to the first Sunni seat in Lebanon, the country of cedar. From an expatriate to an authority, Hariri worked hard for years. He worked as an accountant in an engineering company before establishing a small subcontracting firm. Then he bought French construction firm Auger and merged it with his company. He called the merged company Saudi Auger, and it became the first garden where the Hariri family's wealth would flourish. Lebanese-born Hariri became a Saudi citizen in 1978 and the special envoy for the servant of the 2 holy sanctuaries, the Saudi king to his motherland, Lebanon.
Hariri's
first achievements in Lebanon were solving disputes and playing a role in drafting the Ta'if Agreement. Many believe the agreement boosted the power of the Sunni prime minister over that of the Christian president of the republic. But those who brokered the Ta'if Agreement gave Hariri a smaller role, essentially giving money to every Lebanese representative who refused the Saudi solution. Hariri made a name for himself in the late 1980s as an entrepreneur and philanthropist who contributed to ending the war and provided educational opportunities to thousands of Lebanese students. However, this bright period of his life had a dark side as well. Numbers and figures show that this ambitious Sidon native Saudi citizen played a role in financially sponsoring both sides of the civil war in Lebanon.
في الجانب المظلم لتلك الحقبة معلومات وأرقام تفيد أن الصيداوي السعودي الطامح لعب دورا.
Since the 1980s, Hariri has been on the list of the wealthiest people in the world. In the 1990s, or more specifically 1992, he secured an almost permanent position in the Lebanese government.
الأثرياء في العالم وفي التسعينيات وتحديدا عام 92 حجز موقعا كاد يصبح ثابتا في سرايا لبنان الحكومية.
Hariri's first economic achievement on the ground in Lebanon was the reconstruction program focused on a large area in central Beirut that would also benefit other regions of Lebanon.
حصة باقي المناطق اللبنانية. في الاقتصاد هو الرجل البلدوزر قبض على مفاتيح العصب الاقتصادي.
He grabbed the keys to the Lebanese economy by taking over the ministries that control the finance department. Even though his projects brought huge debts to the post-war country, there are people who believe they saved the economy. He came to power when the Lebanese currency was collapsing and the US dollar was rising dramatically, which led to Prime Minister Omar Karami's resignation. Hariri was elected Prime Minister to rescue the country from the crises affecting it. At his inauguration, Hariri promised that a prosperous spring would come, and the Lebanese people waited throughout the spring, then the summer, then the autumn and winter. Hariri's promises brought nothing but $50 billion of debt.
وراء صيف وراء خريف وشتاء ولم تزهر وعود الحريري إلا ديونا بلغت 50 مليون.
Hariri's economic vision and his dream for a prosperous Middle East suffered, and Lebanon fell into the middle of the Arab-Israeli conflicts. However, the incidents that followed the April Agreement in 1996 brought the Prime Minister and Hezbollah closer in their political and personal relationship that lasted until Hariri's assassination.
السياسية والشخصية بين رئيس الحكومة آنذاك وحزب الله.
This relationship was strengthened to the degree that Hariri held a weekly meeting with the Secretary General of Hezbollah in the last several months of Hariri's life. These meetings lasted for hours, and the two men discussed personal and humanitarian aspects of life. Hariri cared much for the health of the leader of resistance.
The views expressed on Mosaic are from contributing broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. The production of Mosaic is made possible from support of viewers like you. Thank you. Watch Mosaic World News online. Stay up to date with breaking news. Read our blog. Get transcripts of past shows and more at linktv.org/mosaic.
This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries, and diverse cultural programs, programs which connect you to the world.